The Marketing Futurist Podcast, episode number 17. Mind-blowing inspiration to create and innovate. This is your Futurist advantage.
Welcome to the Marketing Futurist Podcast, where your hosts, Kathryn Johnson and Kelly Garrett, chat with innovators who are keeping the human in marketing while driving the future of tech to give all of us a futurist advantage.
Welcome, Marketing Futurists. Today, it's important to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes and introduction to Kathryn Johnson, who is my co-host on this wonderful summit. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Kathryn, and thank you for co-hosting this with me. This has been such a journey and adventure, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Oh my gosh, Kelly, it's been a blast. I just can't even believe where life takes us, right? And
yes.
We just join the ride and enjoy it as much as we can. So yes, thank you. It's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So give us a little introduction to you, your background, where you've been, what you're doing.
Okay, so let's see. My first business online was 2003, and that was a novelty maternity company and called Mommy Loves. And it was because of my maternity journey, my pregnancy journey, that I just all of a sudden got this idea, because it was so difficult for us to get pregnant when we first tried. Finally delivering my first son, or actually being pregnant for my first son, showed me that, oh my gosh, this was like one of the toughest classes I've ever taken in college. And I created this design on Excel, and I just had this overwhelming desire to create this maternity shirt to show the world that I was pregnant, finally. And it was a report card. And it said, Pregnancy 101, I got an A+. Pregnancy prevention, I finally failed.
Aw.
And so I printed that out, and I bought a blank white t-shirt at Target, and a maternity t-shirt, and brought it down to a sports shop where they put numbers on jerseys and things. And I said, could you put this on this? And they said, sure. And I wore that everywhere and got stopped everywhere I went. And of course the light bulbs went off, and wow, I could do something with this. And before I could do that, I went into early labor and went into the hospital and blah, blah, blah. And then of course the baby's born, and I'm not thinking about that now. I'm thinking about life. And I pulled that shirt out again 3 years later with my second, got the same response, and finally went, I've got to do something about this. But then I fell and broke both my legs. While I was 8 months pregnant. So I couldn't do anything about it. But I tell you this because it's really part of that journey that it wasn't time. I wasn't ready. The world wasn't ready. The internet wasn't ready. And so finally, after I got through all of that, and I said, you know what, if I can get through labor, delivery, caring for my newborn with casts on both legs up to the knee, I can do anything. And that gave me the confidence to start that first business. And that just projected into finding the next thing and finding the next thing, and to where I started a podcast about parenting and entrepreneurship. And that was the first time I actually communicated with someone that I was very afraid to approach. And we're talking a podcast. I had to interview people. And I thought, I would love to talk to Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. But oh my gosh, he's not going to talk to me, little old me. Why would he do that? And I did it anyway. I sent that email anyway because I felt safe. He was kind. I mean, his persona online is who he is. And I just went ahead and sent that message, and he responded, and he was my first guest.
Wow.
So again, each little step gave me confidence to go, okay, well, I can do this. Okay, well, I can try this. And when Messenger opened up, when Andrew Warner sent out a message saying, hey, we've got 80% open rates and 60% click-through rates, I went, what? And responded to that, and said yes to that. And here I am with a business that I never even imagined doing.
Yeah. Wow. It's just amazing how one thing leads to another, and you look back over it and you see the journey, you're like, oh, that's why that happened. But at the time, I mean, they just seem so random and out of place, and like, why is this happening in this order? It's not what I wanted.
Yeah, and it is. I look back on it now, and especially I know it's appropriate to say, but it really is. We get these messages every day, right? Online, we get these messages all the time. There's this new software coming up, and it sounds interesting. Should I follow that? Or there's this new tool that I could use that would make my life so much easier. Should I follow that? So we get those messages now more than ever. And we really have to decide what we're going to reply to. That's the way I look at it now, because I'm in the messaging world, right? So what am I going to reply to? I get these messages all the time, but it doesn't mean I have to reply to every single one. And I really do now have a system of what I'm going to reply to now, because my time is much more limited than it ever has been.
Right. Yeah, that's a great analogy. I love that. I love that for sure. So, I mean, definitely we heard some obstacles in there. Was there anything along the way that just made you go, no, this isn't for me. Business isn't for me. I should just get a job, or I should just stay home. Anything that was a major obstacle you faced?
Yeah, well, the recession of 2008 was one of those. I was one of those, actually I'm the opposite of that. I am very stubborn. So when those kinds of things come up, I just double down, and I'm just like, nope, I ain't stopping. I am going to do whatever I need to take, even though behind the scenes, I'm dying inside going, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working? What am I doing wrong? All those things. And of course, my husband most of the time said, you going to just go get a job sometime soon because something's not right. And so he's definitely my grounding, my grounder. But I just kept going, and that was the wrong thing to do. That was a huge obstacle because I got into debt. I mean, I basically, I was not a futurist in that respect. I did not see that this was what was happening and it wasn't going to get better anytime soon. I just kept trying to do more, do different, do more, and find those people, and it wasn't working. So I got into debt. I was totally my confidence was shot. And finally.
And is this when you had kids at the time?
Oh yeah. I had kids first and then became an entrepreneur. So the first time when I started my first business, my kids were 18 months and almost 4 years old. And so I've been raising them all the way through this. And I just really, my confidence was shot. And I finally, my husband, who is also my accountant, he says, you know what? Because he asked me, why are you still holding on to this? And I said, if it fails, that means I failed. And he looked at me and said, you are not your business. And that was it. That was the shift to let me let go. And I said, okay, got it. Gave him a big, wet, sloppy kiss and said, all right, what are we going to do? And so we outsourced everything. I sold all my equipment because I was still making every shirt. I was still completely in my business, no help, no nothing. I was doing everything. I was a wonderful superhero solo entrepreneur, right? Killing myself.
Right. Yeah. Don't we all start there?
Yeah, we do. We have to, right? Unless we get, some kind of angel investing, but nope, I didn't get that. So I outsourced everything, got rid of everything, took a sigh of relief, let myself kind of heal a little bit, and then jumped into podcasting because that's what I knew. That's what people are coming to me and asking me about. But that was a huge obstacle that I learned. Don't hold on so tight. Don't identify with your business. It is not me. It is something I am presenting to the world, but it is not my identity.
Right. And I think we as women especially have a tendency to do that, but even men, I know men that do the same thing, and it's universal. So, okay, so you did podcasting and then you kind of jumped on the bot ship with Andrew Warner. And I mean, is there anything significant? Well, there's lots significant about that journey, but I mean, anything significant in there, lessons you've learned? And,
you and I have talked about this before, and I really need you futurists out there who are looking for an advantage to hear this, that I think you and I both agree 100%. It's when you get an opportunity to connect with someone like an Andrew Warner, like any of these people, when you get an opportunity to connect with them, just like I did with Pat Flynn, jump, Just go. Don't, you're probably, your first thoughts are going to be, oh, but I'm little old me. And oh, he's never going to give me any time of day, or she's too busy, or anything like that. If you are going to give in addition to take in if it's going to be a true relationship and you're not just trying to take, magical things can happen. And you and I know that. It was so funny when we were on a call with Andrew in his course, and I knew he was going to say, because he was going to tell who won the contest of the best bot. And I knew based on the way he was talking that he was going to say you had won it. And I'm sitting there on the call going, Kelly's got it. Kelly's got it. Kelly's got it. And he said it was you. And I will never forget that. That was so incredible. And I was so excited that you were going to get to go to San Francisco and meet him. And then all of a sudden he contacted me and said, well, would you like to come too? And I'm like, what? Why? It was really amazing to have that opportunity. And
I think he sensed the connection that you and I had as well.
Yeah, I think so. It was just out of the blue.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I'm there. I will come even if I have to, because I'm only like 120 miles away. So,
yeah.
It's a 2-hour drive without traffic. It turns into a 4-hour drive with traffic. But of course I'm going to come and say hi.
But I have to interject and say that you did it in a way that was still true to who you were, because you reached out to me and said, would this bother you if I came, even though you won the contest and I came? And we had that discussion. And that moment when you did that was just, something that made me go, wow, she's real and she's going to go far. And I mean, you can do those things. You can jump on those things without sacrificing who you are as a person.
That's it, because it wasn't about me. I mean, I really did not want to take away anything from the fact that you did amazing work and won that contest. And I really did not want to take that. But at the same time, I mean, if I'm given this opportunity, I want to do it in a way that supports us both, but doesn't take away. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
It was, it's how you feel. And that's why I say, when you get those opportunities to connect with people, remember, every time you come in contact with someone, they have an interpretation of who you are. And if you step on them, and if you go and just push them down because now you are in the limelight, that will come back and bite you. I can't tell you how many people, the person I just talked to this morning, I used their services and hired someone from them, this particular person that is now talking to me about using my services for Messenger. And when I left them, I didn't have bad feelings. I didn't want to make it a bad situation. I gave very good reviews. I talked about how great they were, but I just didn't need them anymore right now. And now they're coming back and they remember that conversation. They remember who I am.
Right.
So I would have been all, yeah, you guys are stupid. You're idiots. What do I want to use you for? Or anything like that in any way derogatory or negative. That would have burned that bridge.
Right.
And it would have come back to bite me. But I can't, if that's in your nature, I feel I would ask you to start doing some soul searching because if you are at all a genuine person, you're going to capitalize on these things, not from a capitalistic perspective, but from a genuine human connection. And it will be magical.
Right. That's such powerful advice. And, I definitely, like you said, I encourage all the people listening to do some soul searching and discover what is it that, if you ever have that tendency to feel like, oh, I gotta stay away from my competitors and really guard myself, ask yourself why. And I think for a lot of people, it comes from fear, don't you think? Oh,
well, of course. I mean, you can't say that you and I, when we first connected, didn't see each other as competitors.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just the way it is. It's our nature. And that is going to always be, and I know it will always be my initial feeling because I come from corporate America. I was raised that way. And those are in me because of experience. But I can overcome them. And I've shown that with this situation, I can overcome them. Even when I was in Mommy Loves, people would call me all the time because I was the first maternity store online. And so I would get phone calls all the time. How are you doing this? What are you doing? And I would think to myself, are you kidding me? You're asking me how I'm doing my business so that you can duplicate it? That's my first thought. But then I went, okay, wait a minute. There were lots of people who helped me get here too. So don't worry, Mary. You have what you need. You're doing what you need. You can help other people too. I had to talk myself through that, literally talk myself through that in order to do that back in 2003 or 2004. Now I don't have to talk myself through it anymore. I can have that feeling come up and just go, breathe and let it go and keep going with who I am, not what I have to overcome.
Right.
But it's true. The abundance mindset is real. It works. It is so freeing. And I don't have to worry about someone else. I can celebrate someone else's successes. That was the first opportunity, Kelly, I got to tell you, that was the first time I really felt celebratory when you won that contest and I didn't. It really felt like, yes, fantastic. I didn't have to feel bad because I didn't win. And in the past, I would have been like, what do you mean? Right?
Yeah.
It just would have been my natural response. That was the first time it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That's a huge key of this path for you being, the right way to go and a sign of what's to come for sure.
Feels so much better, let me tell you.
So, okay. So let's get into the future a little bit. What do you feel, what drives you nuts right now about the future, about marketing or messenger or anything related to what we're talking about?
Yeah. The only thing that drives me nuts about this whole marketing idea of messenger or the future of marketing is when people use it just for lead generation, and that these people that they're communicating with are just leads. They're labeling them as leads or prospects, or, we all use that language, and that's totally cool. We have to identify certain things. But when they treat them that way, that drives me nuts. So I don't build bots just for lead capture to send to somebody else. Okay, I'm not a piece in the conveyor belt in the assembly line to just take this person from point A to point B and sell them something. That's really the only thing that drives me nuts. Everybody I've been connected to, it's been an incredible experience, and they're so willing to give and chat and talk and share ideas and share advice. I've paid quite a few people to do things for me, but really, if you're just looking at this as numbers and you're just looking at these as leads, you're going to miss out. These are people. And even though we've gone way out into this whole future, and now we've been able to scale and look at huge numbers, and everybody says, oh, I've got 100,000 people on my email list or whatever. We've gone way out to those huge numbers now, but I really do think we're coming back because Messenger allows us to be so personal in our communication. And it really does allow people to participate in that conversation, not just consume it. That we really do have to come back to center and say, these are people. And how are we going to communicate with these people? Not leads, not lists. I know we have to call them that, but really we have to keep in our minds that these are people.
Right.
That's the only thing. Everything else has been incredible. But those people, those marketers who just want leads.
Oh, yes.
We've had conversations.
Yeah. And the people that are hesitant to use Messenger and think it's a fad, and those that are on the receiving end that don't like it, that's what they're scared of. They're scared of those people that aren't using it the right way.
And it'll happen. It will happen. We'll all come against that. We'll all come up to that where there's a bot we subscribe to thinking it's really cool, and then we realize we're just a number. And we have so much power. We have so much power. Just type stop.
Right.
You're done. Yeah. And you never hear from them again from that moment on. It's not like email where, we go in, we unsubscribe, and they say, oh, you still might receive some emails from us. That doesn't happen here. How you type stop, that's done.
Right. Or how someone gets a hold of your email address and puts you on their list when you didn't ask to be on their list.
We can't buy messenger lists.
No.
Like we can buy email lists. It's coming full circle. And really the people who are genuine in their communication and treat people like people and are respectful are going to go far. The ones who don't, they'll give us a bad name like they always have. But that's not going to stop us from being who we are and helping our clients.
Right, right. So fast forward 5, 10, 15 years, and this, marketing futurist brand that we've got here, what are we going to be talking about in that time? Let's put us in that space.
Oh my goodness. We really are going to, how I see this as, how we are followed around the internet. So I go on and I'm looking at something on Amazon. I want to buy a sweater, right? And I look on Amazon and I'm kind of looking at that and I get distracted or have to go back to work. And I can no longer shop, right? And I shut that down. I didn't buy that sweater yet. I just was looking at it. And then all of a sudden I open my email in, my personal email, which is on AT&T. And I get an ad right on the side for the exact sweater I was just looking for. That's just the basic advertising and how we're being followed around the internet. I really think that in the future, we will be followed the same way with very personal communication. Not just with ads telling us that, but with communication. So if we were looking, let's say, okay, so my husband has really bad psoriasis, okay? And if he's doing some research on psoriasis online, I see in the future, there may be messages that we get specific to what we're looking for in, let's say, not just in advertising, but in information.
Yeah.
So our libraries, can you imagine? Our libraries can be much more personalized in our communication. The information that we can get and be exposed to and access, we will be able to get through messaging apps, through these kinds of very personalized communications. Instead of giving us an entire book, we may have access to certain segments of that book that are specific to what we need right now. So I really see our communication in general, not just advertising, not just marketing with companies, but in any information we want to consume being delivered to us in this medium in a very personalized way.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And that's really exciting.
I can't wait. I mean, to have that kind of access, and it'll be a benefit and a detriment, obviously, because we can get very single-minded and only get this piece and not realize that there are other parts that connect to it. So we have to be wary of that. But the access we're going to have is going to be incredible. And businesses, we can educate people beyond just trying to sell them something and get them deeper into our worlds. And really, I invite people to reject me now. I totally do that. And before I was very afraid of rejection, right? They don't like me. What's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. They don't like me. Why don't they like me? Doesn't have anything to do with that anymore. I think I'm a pretty decent person. If they don't like my communication style, that's totally cool. There's lots of people, we just don't connect. That's totally fine. It doesn't have anything to do with me as a person. They don't know me. How can they not like me? So I've gotten beyond that. And I really do invite people to decide. I don't want lukewarm. I'm not looking for lukewarm. I'm a very passionate Italian woman, right? I want white hot. You either love what I'm doing or you don't. And that's totally cool. Go on to someone you do love what they say and how they say it. I want someone really that's committed to what we're talking about. And so, it gives us an opportunity to bring people into our world who are really as passionate as we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So you mentioned briefly some of the pitfalls or the downsides. What do you think are obstacles that we're going to come across?
Those people who really do just think of us as numbers will also have access to all these tools and be able to know about us a lot and portray themselves as someone who's passionate about what they're doing. So we're still going to have to look at this as people. So we look at brands, but I look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi and T-Mobile and AT&T and Verizon and all these things, they're brands. But I really don't get a sense of the difference personality-wise between T-Mobile and Verizon, right? I do get a sense of a little bit of the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi because I have a bias. I like Pepsi. So I automatically tend to identify with that brand. But really, if we don't identify with something on a personal level, I'm not as white hot about it. So those companies who have the same access to the same data about us and are following us around the internet, we're still going to have to look at them as to whether we identify with them or not. If they, and that's going to take time in being exposed to their brand and being exposed to what they do and possibly buying something from them and testing it out and all those things. So it's still going to come down to that personal connection. And that's what I'm seeking. Every time I have communication online, I'm right now looking for a mastermind, my next mastermind to belong to, my next paid mastermind, or a next mentor that I'm looking for. And I'm looking, there are probably about 3 key people. And I have to really identify, do I identify with them? Are they close? Which one is closest to me in different areas? And we're still going to have to do that. So it can't just be automatic all the time. It's still going to take time and exposure to the brand, to the people, to really be able to see whether we connect. So I see that as an obstacle we're still going to have to face. And the easy answer to it is be true to yourself, know who you are, know what you like and don't like, and it'll be an easy choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, so that's how people overcome the obstacles of the future. And maybe we can't identify the exact obstacle, but I think what you're touching on is just an overall mentality and mindset that can help us overcome almost any obstacle.
Yeah. And it's very, it always comes down to, we can use technology for so many amazing things, but it really does come down to the human element and knowing who you are, knowing what you like, and allowing yourself to adapt and all those things that we do. I mean, every day we were learning, we grow, we never stay the same unless we make ourselves stay the same. I know people who do that, right? They want this routine. They don't want to change. That's fine. But if we allow ourselves to adapt and grow with these new tools that we're using and just incorporate the parts of them that fit and follow our instincts and follow and develop that mindset of abundance, of growth, of education, self-awareness, all those things, we can't help but be happier, healthier, more successful when we do that. And yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Awesome. I just think you can't go wrong. If you're able to incorporate those things into your life and into the way you approach life, and specifically as a marketer, I don't see how you could possibly fail. I don't see how you could, come out at a loss.
And if you do, you'll be oblivious because you'll be happy anyway. So what the heck? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't work. It won't affect you so drastically like it did me back in 2008, 9, and 10. I mean, we're talking years I lived that way. It was awful. If I had a different mindset back then, but I wouldn't have developed that mindset without that experience. So, I just have to accept it, move on, and incorporate that and adapt with it. That's exactly what that situation taught me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So what do you think, what tool or tip do you have for our listeners that, just like we've asked everybody, that they can use to give them the futurist advantage?
Okay. I don't have a specific tool or tip like software or anything like that. There are lots of books you can read. The Leap was I think that was isn't that what it was called? The Big Leap?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was it. That was one of the first books I read that really just hit me over the head. And then right after that, I read the book that's on my shelf, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. Those two really started me on an amazing abundance mindset. So if you're looking for that and you're getting out of corporate and you need that, those 2 books I would start with. But really, the Futurist Advantage isn't really a book. It's your relationships. It is really your relationships. You can future-proof yourself. You can give yourself an advantage with two things. Number one, look to your past. Look at where you've come from. Everything you've done, whatever job you've done. So I've been in the staffing industry, I've been in the weight loss industry, and I look to those industries and I see, who do I know? What have I done? Who have I connected with? Who do I relate to? And who can I provide value to in that particular industry? And then I look at the relationships in the forward and where I'm going. Who do I admire? Who am I learning huge things from? Who is opening up my mind and changing my mindset in the community that I'm looking to become a part of? And I want to take some of those relationships from the past and see what connected with me, and look to the future of those relationships, like the relationships now we have with Andrew Warner, and these people on this summit have all come from relationships you and I have built.
Right. Yeah.
And approached, even though we got over the fact that, oh, we're not good enough, right? Or, oh, we're not big enough, or whatever enough we think we aren't. We looked to those relationships and those communities, and we took from the previous and what worked and projected it to the future of what we could also provide. And if you come with that mindset every time, what can I provide? You will succeed, and you will build relationships. And when you build those relationships, that will be your advantage. If you really, truly build them, and that only takes time. You can't build it tomorrow. You can't just say one thing to someone and they all of a sudden love you. That doesn't happen that way. You can turn on a software, you can turn on a phone, you can do those things, but you can't turn on a relationship.
Right.
And so if you give and come with that mindset and build those relationships, if you have something actually to provide, to give, to offer, then you've just given yourself an advantage. No one needs to give it to you. You've just given yourself that advantage, and run with it. Telling you.
Yes.
If I had not said yes to that conversation with Andrew and going and spending time with you in San Francisco, I would not be where I am. I would not be here.
Likewise.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, do it.
Great. That's perfect.
Right? You agree with me. I think you do.
Yes, I do, because I am living that exact same thing, that it's because of the opportunities that I have taken advantage of and stepped outside my comfort zone, that we're sitting here, we're having this conversation, we've got this amazing panel of people that we're talking to, and the future is nothing but bright and shiny and exciting.
Yeah. And then I have to come back to my day of, and I have to say this, that gives us the advantage, and we can think high level with those things and think of changes and amazing opportunities, but then we still have to come back down to the day-to-day grind and actually do the work that we have to do. We can't just have those relationships and think they're going to give us things. We have to actually reply to the day-to-day messages in addition to the big messages, and do the work. And we actually have to jump in and decide, what am I going to do today? Am I going to build some funnels? Am I going to build some bots? Am I going to talk to people? Am I going to hire someone? Am I going to check my email 50 times? Am I going to just sit on Facebook and chat with people all day thinking that's going to get me sales or business or what? I mean, we really still have to do the day-to-day stuff. But when we when we have those high-level thoughts of where we're going, and look up once in a while and go, oh my gosh, what just happened? Wow. Then we can go down into the day-to-day and do it with joy in our hearts, with amazing mindset. Nothing feels mundane. Nothing feels hard. Yes, we have terrible days when recordings don't work out. Those days are awful. I hated that day when I all of a sudden saw, oh my gosh, how in the world did that happen? But I was so much more able to get over it and be able to see solutions and not get stuck in, yikes, this happened. Because of that, because I have these relationships and I'm moving in such an amazing direction.
Right. And to know that it's temporary. It's okay to have a bad day, to give yourself the grace to have the bad day too.
Exactly. And that's easy to say. It's easy to say, not easy to do. But yes, you're right. The more you have of them, the more you have that mindset. It's not going to last. Life will go on. Nobody's dying. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine. That's a really bad day. That's a bad day would be very difficult to recover from. But that we're not dealing with life and death here. It's okay.
Right.
Even money, it's okay.
Yep, exactly. There's no limit to money is not finite.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Cool. Such amazing wisdom from my dear friend. And I'm just so honored to be on this journey with you. Thank you so much again for your time. We will speak soon.
I think we will. Yes. Thank you.
Get your Futurist advantage by joining our Facebook group at marketingfuturist.co/group and tune in for our next journey into the future of marketing.